This episode is brought to you by 180 Markets, where it is our goal to bring every individual, fund manager, family office, or any qualified investor access to Australian Stock Exchange capital raises. If you are ever interested in how to access ASX capital raises in a super simple way, 180 Markets is for you. The sign-up process is easy. You just upload your ID, proof of your investor status, and your current brokerage account information. The settlement of shares goes right into your existing account, and you can access our very next capital raise. If you're interested in free, easy access to thousands of ASX capital raises, including placements, IPOs, reverse takeovers, and more, check out 180markets.com.au. Welcome to another edition of 18 Minutes with 180 Markets. Friends, we certainly know we are in a new wave of energy, new energy, out with the old. But not only that, there's so many components that go into this new era that we don't even always realize it. Base metals as an example. You may not realize it, but there's so many factors in base metals that are going to pave the way for the next 25 years. And here to talk all about a new company, new projects, new direction is Critical Resources Managing Director, Alex Biggs. Alex has been brought in to change the direction, to go forward for the next 20 years. Enough with me. Alex, welcome to 18 Minutes with 180 Markets.
Greg, thank you very much for your time. Just a slight correction, Chief Executive Officer
Okay.
at present, if it makes a difference.
Absolutely. Chief Executive Officer, for those of you that are outside of Australia, a very common term. Inside of Australia, it's much more Managing Director, but they're probably interchangeable for the most part.
Correct,
anyway,
yeah, correct.
Alex, everybody's got a story. Can you just please share with the audience a couple of minutes about yourself?
Yeah, sure. It could be a pretty long story, right? So I'll try and give you the abridged one. But originally, I'm from Southeast London, and I came to Australia in 2003. I spent some time studying mechanical engineering over in the UK. And when I came here, I landed in the mining industry, and I ended up going back to the School of Mines in Kalgoorlie. So I am a graduate of the best mining school in the world. Don't let anybody tell you any different. And I finished there in 2008. You know, I spent a lot of time in operations and then consulting. I was working in private equity for a period of time, and in senior sort of management positions and principal positions prior to starting at Critical Resources.
Yeah, and also, if you could just touch for a second, wouldn't you also say that your time at the Mining Institute, that really does help pave the way for so many relationships that are so critically important, really for the rest of your career?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you look at the School of Mines, you know, it's an institution which dates back to the late 1800s, right? And it's the foundation of Kalgoorlie. So, you know, for us in the industry, you know, of course, it's a great networking opportunity. It's a very practical school. You get to learn your skills on the ground as well as in the classroom, and you build a lot of relationships, right, all the way through. So, yeah, I mean, you know, those relationships that we built on day one, we still have today. And I guess coming with the School of Mines tag doesn't hurt your career either.
No, absolutely. And it helps you maybe you also just get things done a little bit as the path goes forward. You certainly run into people over and over again, not just at Diggers and Dealers.
Not just at Diggers and Dealers, although I was there a couple of weeks ago and it was very good. That is our annual homage, shall we say, for all of us. But yeah, certainly. I mean, obviously being based in Perth, you know, there's a huge mining community here. So, you know, it's pretty common to walk down the street and bump into multiple people every day.
Excellent, excellent. Hey, Alex, turning to Critical Resources, the company really is going a different direction, and you are the one that's leading the spearhead. Can you just tell us a little bit about Critical Resources? What are the projects? Where do you stand right now?
Yeah, sure. We've got two projects. The Halls Peak project in New South Wales, which is a zinc, lead, silver, a little bit of copper as well. You know, that's a great exploration opportunity for us. Historic mining, historic drilling, hasn't been explored at depth, and we're looking at this large-scale SEDEX potential, and we'll be drilling there towards the end of the year. Our second project is in Oman, copper project. There's a JORC compliant resource there of approximately 800,000 tonnes at over 3% copper. So that's excellent as well. I mean, you know, as a company where we're at, you know, around about $25–27 million market cap, you know, these two projects I think are cracking cornerstones. And going into the drilling for Halls Peak, I think that's the ... for everyone. That's what investors want to see us test, right? And, you know, we've got to test that at depth, and we've got to test the scale there.
Yeah, and if we could just focus on Halls Creek, because that would be great, because that really is, let's call it between now and the end of the year, that certainly will be the focus for the company. From the drilling, can you just tell us what would be your idea of success, and also maybe just describe one thing that really catches my eye is just how big the project could be. And then, as you mentioned, your market cap is currently sitting around 25 million. You certainly could be a multiple of that.
Yeah, certainly. We feel that way, right? And I'll say this, Greg, it's nice to actually have projects you can talk about, and that you've actually got a bit of a runway on, you've got a bit of an understanding of. Now, if you look at Halls Peak going back, I mean, as I say, there's been quite a lot of work historically there. You know, most recent drill program was done in 2016. Very, very high grade, you know, zinc there, you know, sort of 40 meters at, I think it was 9% zinc and 3% lead. So, you know, these are big numbers, but huge. Guess what, right? It's only been tested down to about 150 meters. So back in 2012, there was a VTEM geophys survey done. And that sort of, you know, that sets I guess, the strategy for us moving forward. We've reinterpreted that VTEM survey, and we've delineated some pretty good targets, which you can see in recent announcements, one dated 8th of July, one 20th of July, Gibson's and Sunnyside prospects. And, you know, these targets are big, right? We're talking a large scale SEDEX type system. It's analogous to things like MacArthur River, Mount Isa, Cannington. We're not saying necessarily in scale at this stage, we've got to test that, but certainly structurally, and the indicators that we see, it's that type of mineralization. People not having drilled this project at depth, guess what? That's their loss. You know, that's our gain. And, you know, once we start hitting these targets and understanding what that mineralization looks like, we see this as transformational for Critical Resources.
Absolutely. And can you just touch on, you know, you said it before, about 150 meters is where it's been tested to. So how much further down are you going to go? Because one theme, and I'm curious if you see this too, that we've seen in the last 2 or 3 years, is that targeting, going down a little bit deeper, is producing some amazing results.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, guess what? You know, mines are getting deeper. I mean, it's natural. You know, the low-hanging fruit is sort of being discovered, and you know, there's examples of near-surface, you know, quality tier 1 operations. You know, De Grey, for example, is a good one. But you know, we've got to be prepared to be mining at depth. You know, and historically, people didn't look at depth because why did they have to? There was low-hanging fruit, near-surface opportunities. So. You know, when we look at Halls Peak and Sunnyside and Gibson's prospects there, we're targeting, you know, 600–700 meters maximum depth with this drill program, right?
Excellent. And so, and then as far as the critical path, as far as timing right now, we're in August of 2021. What would be, is it coming up, say, the next 2 or 3 months?
Yeah, so drilling will be in Q4 calendar of this year. So we see we'll be drilling, you know, November, December, you know, and I think we've got 4,000 odd meters planned in this program. So, you know, that will take us a couple of months to get through. But, you know, we foresee that we'll be getting some good results pretty early on. Yeah, no, that's great. And obviously, depending on what those results bring, that certainly leads to the next stage over and over again, so to speak. Correct. Yeah, definitely. Hey, and then also, you know, you do have a large copper, or I don't know if it's large per se, but a high quality copper project in Oman. For people that are not quite so familiar, can you just discuss it a little bit? Yeah, sure. So Oman, the Oman Asset is, as you say, it's good quality, it's high grade, it's VMS style deposit. So for guys that know what that means, it's quite poddy. You know, and in one of, you know, well, a couple of those pods, we've got 800,000 tons at 3.3% copper. So if you look at Oman and you look at that belt, I mean, there's some really, really good copper projects there. And, you know, it's about being able to do the business over there. We like the project. We're looking at ways we can commercialise it and partner with, you know, other guys on the ground over there. Because, you know, if you look at that whole belt, our project is the highest grade. I mean, that's a fact, right? So these guys need that for sort of feed and that. So we're investigating different options and different opportunities, and we like it. We like Oman and we like the project, but you know, our focus is on Halls Peak. I think the one thing that COVID has taught us is that Australian investors, they like Australian assets and Australian companies. So you know, to have something which the story hasn't really been told at Halls Peak yet. We've got some clear targets. We've got some scale, you know, and we've got a drill program coming up. That's very exciting.
Yeah, and no, speaking of Australia, I'm just curious in your mind, because you have been all over the world, so to speak. Is it rare to find a project of this size in a jurisdiction such as Australia, in a commodity that clearly is in demand, in the form of zinc, that is?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's unusual. I mean, as we said previously, you know, the low-hanging fruit opportunities are getting less and less, and we need to become, you know, we need to become better at the way we evaluate our projects and we do the exploration. And you know, I don't think it's necessarily unusual, but you know, as I say, for us, it's an exciting opportunity because it's a story that hasn't been told. And where we are as a company, you know, we've got supportive shareholders. You know, we're sitting around that $25–30 million market cap. It is a great jumping off point once we start drilling.
Yeah, no, it certainly seems that way. And as we've discussed earlier, that when you look at your market cap on a value compared to the upside potential, and then also for people that don't know exactly about zinc, can you just tell the general uses of it? Because I think it is a little bit misunderstood.
Yeah, I mean, principally it's used in galvanizing of steel, of course. There is applications for evolving technologies, you know, electric vehicles, things like that. So, you know, I think the interesting thing with base metals, and I guess, you know, this supports the current prices in that sector, is that we are seeing new technologies, right? And, you know, we're seeing new development of these technologies, which are driven by policy as much as anything. Governments are putting policies in place that we've got these green energy mandates now. So, you know, necessity is the mother of invention, I would say. And, sure, you know, as far as base metals go, they're very, very relevant to that sector.
Yeah, no, for sure. And even, you know, when you look at copper as well, high grade copper, again, you know, very much in demand because of, you know, the lower cost or the lower environmental footprint.
Yeah, for sure. That's right. That's right. So, you know, it's no, you know, it's no coincidence that copper has doubled in value in the last, 18 months or so, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is sorry, Greg, a lot of that is based on this, you know, PC, as I've heard it called, post-COVID, right? This recovery that we're seeing. And I think, you know, COVID has given people an opportunity to sort of think about what's going to happen after. There's naturally going to be rebuilds and, you know, expenditure on the government side, which is going to drive that. But I also think it makes people think about the future with regards to green energy, new technologies, and that's really going to support, you know, the current values.
Yeah. And, you know, Alex, is that also within Critical, I sense personally a real focus on strategy, not just finding a project that you think is a good project and you'll do whatever it is. Is that the correct interpretation, that the company is a lot more focused?
Yeah, certainly. You know, I mean, strategy is really the only thing that matters. You know, yes, we've got good assets, but, you know, if you can't strategically leverage that position, what's the point, you know? And, you know, I've got a saying, right? You can put an average team in a good project and make it better, or you can put a bad team, you know, in a good project and you won't see the value, right? I mean, for us, strategically, you know, we are focused on Halls Peak for sure for now. However, we are looking at other acquisition opportunities. You know, we want to grow this business. I mean, and Critical Resources, right? The name, it's not lost on me, right? You know, the critical minerals sort of stuff. So when we look at the scope of investment opportunities for us, it's quite broad, yeah? I mean, if you're a gold company, guess what you're investing in, right? It's gold. You're right. Fairly restricted. So for us, it's quite broad. We're looking at that. You know, of course, that leverages to the green energy market and all that. And, you know, that's good. You know, but yes, certainly, I mean, strategically, we've got some big things coming up.
Excellent. Hey, Alex, unfortunately, we have to keep these interviews short. Do you have any closing remarks for the audience?
Yeah, sure. I mean, where we are as a business, I think we're in a strong position. It's a strong cornerstone, and there's a new board in here, myself, and we're bringing new people on to drive this company. The Halls Peak asset itself is transformational from a company perspective. We'll be drilling in Q4 this year, and I think we're going to see some very exciting things happening.
Alex, well, we are definitely looking forward to those results.
Great. Thank you, Greg. Thank you for your time. Thank you to our supporters, shareholders, and investors. And we look forward to keeping you updated.
Great. Thanks, Alex. Be well.
Thank you. You too. Be well. Thanks, Greg.
Bye-bye. Thank you for watching another presentation by 180 Markets. Don't forget, if you want access to thousands of ASX capital raises, head on over to 180markets.com.au, sign up, and get on board for our very next capital raise. Thanks for watching.